That is, young people being extorted for money online after sharing explicit images of themselves with people they think they can trust. It's an incredibly serious issue that has even resulted in victims dying by suicide in extreme cases. As you will hear shortly, this is something that is happening in our state and in our area. Tragically, earlier this year, a 15-year-old central Wisconsin boy died by suicide after being victimized in a sextortion scam. In addition, 2 years ago, a 17-year-old Oconto boy died by suicide after being sextorted. This is a community issue, and it requires a community response. So we are pleased to welcome our partners from the Green Bay Police Department and the Green Bay Area Public School District to join us in talking about this issue and how we can protect our kids. And right now in La Crosse, our colleagues at Emplify Health Anderson are hosting a news conference with their local law enforcement partners to share the same message. We are here today to provide the tools and resources for helping yourself, your loved ones, the kids and teens in our communities. Working together, we can make a difference. First, we'd like to welcome Commander of Investigations, Rick Bellinger from the Green Bay Police Department to tell us about this crime and how it is occurring.
All right, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us. My name is Rick Bellinger, and I serve as Commander of Investigations at the Green Bay Police Department. We're here today to talk about a critically important issue that impacts youth, families, and a broader community, and that's online sextortion. Across the country, law enforcement agencies have seen a sharp rise in cases where children and teens are coerced into sending explicit images to online predators. These scammers use manipulation, threats, blackmail, often posing as peers to trap young victims. In many cases, they threaten to publicly share explicit content unless money or more images are provided. Excuse me. A recent Wisconsin case tragically ended in suicide, as was discussed a little bit ago, highlighting just how devastating the psychological impact of sextortion can be. As will be discussed in more detail shortly, the shame, the fear, and hopelessness that victims experience can feel very overwhelming, and too often they suffer in silence. These crimes are a part of an ever-evolving landscape of cyber exploitation, and although they present complex challenges, law enforcement agencies across the United States and globally are united in their commitment to investigating and stopping these predators. At the Green Bay Police Department, we take reports of cyber harassment and online extortion very seriously. Our investigators assess solvability factors and work with partner agencies when necessary. We also recognize that healing and protection extend beyond the scope of policing. We're committed to connecting not only victims, but also their families and those impacted to trusted community resources that go beyond the badge, offering support, recovery, and hope. We urge families to report all suspicious or inappropriate online behavior directly to your local police department. We're here to help. Do not rely on online reporting tools for these cases. Please report them by calling us directly. Let us help out and put an immediate attention on the incident. According to FBI statistics, sextortion is one of the fastest growing online threats to minors. While we're focusing today on children and teens, it's important to note that sextortion can affect anyone regardless of gender, age, or their background. To parents, as a parent myself, I want to leave you with this really important message. Be present in your children's online world. Talk openly, ask questions, and create space for honest conversations. Those are critical. Know who your child is talking to, both in real life and digitally. Partner with other parents to stay informed and connected with your friends' parents. Make sure your children know that if a message or request seems suspicious, delete it and talk to you. Never respond back. And to the kids, they are not alone. This is happening a little bit too frequently, and the online world continues to evolve. If something feels wrong or scary, talk to someone you trust. There are people who care and are here to help. It's now my honor to introduce Dr. Tiffany Bourne from Emplify Health of Bellin, who will speak more on the emotional and mental aspects of this issue.
Thank you, Commander Bellinger, and welcome to you all. My name is Tiffany Bourne, and I'm a pediatric psychologist with Emplify Health by Bellin. Today's topic is a tough one. It's a hard one to talk about, but it's so important, and I want to thank our partners at the Green Bay Police Department and the Green Bay Area Public School District for being here to raise awareness and share critical information about these sextortion crimes. What we're talking about today isn't theoretical. I have worked with youth who have been victims of sextortion and have seen firsthand the anxiety, embarrassment, and overwhelming emotions that often come with these situations, both for the kids and for their parents and those that love them. When sextortion scams happen, our kids and teens can feel like there's no way out, which can even lead to thoughts of suicide. Thankfully, I have not had any direct experience with losing a patient to suicide following one of these scams, and I'm hopeful that press conferences such like this, getting the message out, will help that continue to be the case. So why are children and teens vulnerable to these types of crimes? There are a multitude of reasons. One is we all know about the vast availability of social media and online information sharing, and as Commander Bellinger said, how quickly that environment is changing, which makes it really hard to keep up with. It's also a very normal desire to seek connection, to be loved or feel desired, and to feel special. It's also normal for children and adolescents to be curious about sex, about bodies, about relationships. Though it might be hard for us to think about as parents and adults, kids and adolescents being interested in and exploring sexuality and relationships is developmentally normal. The problem is that it's now so much easier for them to get this information and to interact with others than it was in other generations, which can lead them to get into sticky situations pretty quickly. We also know that young people's frontal lobes aren't fully developed, so the frontal lobe is the part of the brain that's helping with decision making, thinking of future consequences, and the adolescent brain is changing, which makes them ripe for getting involved in dangerous situations. We know that adolescents can make poor choices, and maturity and judgment actually may drop in the adolescent years before increasing again into young adulthood. They might not have the maturity to realize when a situation is risky and that they're vulnerable to being taken advantage of. The adolescent brain is also changing to value peers much more than family values even, and that wanting to have peers think that you are cool or that you fit in or have that relationship might be more important in that brain than following rules or doing what you think that your family would like. This all means that even when we do all the right things, even when we take the preventative measures we'll talk about today, even when our kids can tell us verbatim what it is that they're supposed to do and what those rules are, kids might still make mistakes, and that is normal and to be expected given this period of life. How we have prepared and how we respond when those things happen can make a really huge difference. When a child or teen becomes part of a sextortion scam, they're dealing with some really tough emotions. As we've mentioned, that extreme embarrassment, pressure, guilt, and shame. There's embarrassment that they're in this situation in the first place, that they took those photos or those videos. They might be terrified to go to their trusted adults to share what's happened for fear of being judged and disappointing their support system. Then there's the pressure from the predator to share more photos or to pay. These predators can be very convincing and tell the child or teen that they will send these photos to their family, their entire school, their bosses, if they do not do what the predator asks for. For a child or teen, the fear of others seeing these images or knowing what has happened can be overwhelming. And children and teens feel an extreme sense of guilt that they should have known better or that they shouldn't have done something, quote unquote, so stupid. Sadly, young people may think that there is no way out when these things happen and may turn to thoughts of suicide. In a state of crisis, getting out of the situation through death may seem a better alternative than working through what might seem overwhelming and impossible to handle. Parents and trusted adults play a key role by having conversations with their children, discussing digital literacy, and also letting their children know that they, as parents, are a safe and supportive place to go if their kids make mistakes online or anywhere. Let kids know that you're in their corner before challenges arise, and they're more likely to feel safe coming to you when a crisis does happen. Send the message early and often that there's nothing your child can do, no mistake that they can make that is too big for you to not love them or to be able to work through the problem together. We're talking a lot about how the kids and teens feel, but we also know that parents may feel guilt or embarrassment if their kids are targeted by online scammers. With sextortion, they may worry that their kids have sexually deviant tendencies that have caused them to take or send these sexually explicit messages or photos. I reassure parents that, again, interest and curiosity in bodies and sex is normal, even if it makes us uncomfortable as adults. Parents also may have a sense of guilt around monitoring online activity, feeling responsible that something was happening without them knowing, or that the child did not feel comfortable coming to them right away. I reassure them that, of course, there is no such thing as a perfect parent, and despite our best efforts, there are more ways to connect through technology than ever before, and certainly these scammers are more fluent in these mediums than we are. Your child may also have tried to hide these problems for the reasons we've talked about, the guilt, the embarrassment, and fear, and that is not a reflection of your parenting or your relationship. I've talked a lot about the shame and guilt that kids and parents may experience when young people fall victim to sextortion. But make no mistake, there is no blame for kids or parents when these things happen. The only blame is for the perpetrators of these crimes. We know that these feelings of guilt and embarrassment may prevent kids and parents alike from reporting the sextortion scams, and they may not be sure how to do so in the first place. Certainly going to the police, as Commander Bellinger mentioned, is a wonderful first step. Also, talking to a mental health professional or your pediatrician about next steps can be helpful if you have those resources. To end with, I want to send a message to kids and parents. First of all, be aware of these scams. Know how they happen and how you can prevent them with awareness and online savvy. For youth, if you find yourself in a sextortion situation, know that you are not alone. This has happened to others. You are not stupid. You are a victim of a crime and not in the wrong. The perpetrator has and is likely continuing to be lying to you. And most importantly, there is help available. For parents, be a safe person for your child to come to when mistakes happen. When a crisis situation occurs, do your best to table your emotional reaction and avoid your natural inclination to lecture, teach, or ask your child why they could have done such a thing. Your child is already likely feeling many strong emotions and embarrassment. Now is not the time for that correction or shaming. Problem solving can come later. At first, focus on showing support and letting your child know that you are their teammate in navigating through this problem. Reach out for support for your child, but also for yourself in dealing with this. And please, for anyone, if you are in crisis, reach out for help. Call 911 or the National Suicide Prevention Line at 988 if you are thinking of harming yourself. You are not alone. To talk more about navigating digital literacy and working together to help kids, it is now my pleasure to welcome Green Bay Area Public School District Superintendent Vicki Bayer.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you to Emplify for highlighting this very important topic. I'm Vicki Bayer. I'm the superintendent of Green Bay Area Public School District, and I'm a former health educator, so this topic is very important to me. We are here as educators to partner with our parents and guardians. We know how challenging it is to navigate the digital world, staying on top of new online trends and social media apps and threats. At school, we teach our students about digital literacy and how to stay safe online. We also have board policy in place for use of technology and policy to protect our students from bullying and harassment. We take the safety of our students and our staff very seriously. It's important to remember that once we put something online, which Tiffany alluded to, we lose control of who sees those images. Having open and honest dialogue with young people is key to prevention. Schools can help, but a lot happens outside of school. That's where parents and guardians play a critical role. It truly takes a team effort to keep our children safe. I'm going to reiterate some of the key messages for safety for our students that have been mentioned already. It's very important to develop relationships with our young people so they trust you to come forward if they're in trouble. Become a safe adult resource. Establish ground rules about who they can interact with online and on their phones. Know what platforms they're using. You should have access to their logins and their passwords so you can monitor as needed. And for younger children, use parental controls. Young people naturally will push back on any rigid rules. That's what they do. That's natural. So it helps to make this a dialogue between yourself and the young person. Counselors, social workers, school resource officers, teachers, medical providers are all available to assist and guide. To the young people out there, as you've heard already from Tiffany, predators count on their targets to feel ashamed and embarrassed to the point where they won't come forward. But those feelings are human, and you're not alone. If you are a target of a predator, tell someone. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today as we discuss this very important topic. Working together here and across the state, we can raise awareness and mitigate the impact of this unfortunate and often tragic sextortion trend. Our speakers are happy to take any questions at the podium or in one-on-one interviews after our news conference concludes. Thank you.